Reb Noson here. Try to keep getting into this. So we're on number Test Zion on page Yud Ches. So he said, "Okain kol Shomrim." So he's into this idea. Wants to talk about Shomrim. Striking Shavua da Raisa. Shomrim have to take a Shavua da Raisa. Afilu al Tainus Safek, even if it's not sure. Because we're concerned that there's pagam that's taken place in that guarding. So something, you got involved with it and something went wrong. Now what does this mean? What is Shemirah? Shemirah is the work that you have to do in regards to the Chitzonius. But the place that is at that place, which is next to the Chitzonius, because they are very strong. I can't translate the place that they're holding on. What is your connection to the Chitzonius? All the different things that could really make life difficult. So therefore, take off Shomer. So once a person, I'm trying to understand what the Shomer idea is, and you're trying to say that we're guarding every day. Today is the day of what Malchus of Yesod, or Yesod of Malchus. He says, what's going on is Shomer Chol Alav Shavura Da Raisa Miyad Afilu Al Tainus Safek. It's the concept of iskashrus. What is that? So what do you have to do? He says it's tying together. You have to take a chayfetz when you make this. Sefer Torah, which is Sefer Torah. So therefore you have to make the shavua, because there's a question about whether or not you actually are guarding yourself as much as possible. And how do you do that? You do that by the Sefer Torah, by holding the Sefer Torah and saying out. So that's the main idea. And this is his idea here. Being able to take the chitzonius and bring them into penimius, or to mekasher them. In this way, he says to bind them, but it's also to make them kosher, maybe. Now he said, what does he mean by this? He means that this is all this deep psychological thing. He says that we're all talking about. He says that when your world seems to be working the wrong way for you, if bad things happen. Because, why? Because you're very close to the place where the Chitzonius are located. He says that in that place you have to be able to see that within the Chitzonius itself, and all the pain that you're having, let's say at a particular moment, and of course, different for different people, different times, different amounts, so on and so forth. But you have to have the seichel behind it. Hashem is really talking to you in a certain kind of way, a little backhanded way, but that in fact that this mind is inside of it, and that is the way out. And how can you do this? By learning Torah. Okay, and call Shomer, so therefore anybody who's guarding something, and like I said before, we're talking about Sphira, but he didn't say the word Sphiras here, but let's say we're guarding this day. Ki ein anu ma'amidim lo al Shemirah shechoisek haroi ki im ayedech hashavua b'nikitas chayfetz shuchat Torah. Now, I just try to translate these words. He says that we don't believe she'ein anu ma'amidim lo, we don't believe in him, al Shemirah, that is the guarding. I think he means to Hashem. Shechoisek haroi, that's the proper guarding. Ki im ayedech hashavua, you can only do it by making an oath, b'nikitas chayfetz, because you have to take that Torah to yourself. Torah she'al yedeza mekashrim hakol ela penimius. And penimius what? The penimius of the seichel sheyesh b'chol davar, because in fact all the occurrences of a person's life really they're not random. There's a mind behind them all. And you could find the light in that darkness through the Torah. This is how you really do it. I'm going to do one more, because that was very short. So we'll move up to number Test Zion. This is another metaphor. He says that the guardian, he says the Torah. Let me see. The Torah refers to this as a balabayas. Now, I'm not sure if he said the Torah is a balabayas. Let's see. That the balabayas called to Hashem. So what does that mean? The Nikra became close to Hashem. The Perish Rashi, the Shomer himself is called the householder. So why should you call a Shomer a Balabayas? Came called Dini Hashomrim. So if a person gives you something to guard it, well, I don't know what he means by Bechutz. Bechutz noeg bo gam came al yedera Shemirah Hashomrim. So outside, it's also that idea. Let's see what it means. Umadua yihya nikra of Balabayas. Why would we call it Balabayas? What? Say that?
It has nothing to do with the house. You can be a shomer even outside your house. So why does the Torah refer to the guardian as the homeowner? It has nothing to do with the home.
Okay. So why does he refer to it as a homeowner? It's from it that owns something desirable. So then how is it that the shomer is called the balabayas? He said, because of that moment, that time, that period, that he becomes a guard for it. Tam called Dini Hashomrim. What is the reason of this reasoning going to all Shomrim? So Shemirah Habalechem Atayra the Shomer hated Maod Kamavura B'Div Rabbeinu Zal. V'Kulan Tzrichen the Shavar Shavura the Araisach and B'Nikitas Chayfetz, so that you have to take the Chayfetz in, you have to swear on it, that which he said before is the Sefer Torah. He calls Zecha B'Machbesh Zecha B'Shomer Chagar Masnav, he girds himself, the Yosna Asa Balabayas al Zecha Chayfetz, that he's now going to become like a Balabayas over this. So what does it mean then? He owns it or what? The Hand of the Kasha Chitzoni, see, this is what he means to say, to tie together the Chitzonius ala Penimius, to bring the Chitzonius into the Penimius. Shahu, that is, the Penimius al Seichel. What is the Penimius? To understand the Seichel, Sheyesh B'Kol Davar. So that's really what he has to see. The Chitzonius are impinging on you at the place, I guess your weakest places. And so they come over here, Sheyesh B'Kol Davar, but inside of all of that is the Ein Sof Baruch Hu. Sheyesh B'Kol Davar, Shahu Shorish HaDavar V'Kiyuso, that it's only because of Hashem's will that it appears. Shemisham Ikach HaShmir, because that's the place where the main guarding has to be. What does it mean? Okay, Nikrach Balabayas Bavai, so therefore it's for sure called by the name Balabayas. Because that's where the person lives, that's the inside of the person, so to speak. In other words, relatively speaking, it's inside and guarded. The Iker Binyan Abayas, so the main thing about the structure or the construction of a house is to bring something from the outside in. That's the main idea. So he said, so a person is there inside with all of the things which are important to him. The main thing about Shemirah is because of what's inside, what's on the inside, the Hainu, that you cover over everything that's outside. You bring all the things from the outside inside. The Makashra Mosach of the Sharsha, and bring them back to the root, which is the Chochmah coming from Hashem, which is really the Penimius here. Okay, so therefore the house has to be built with wisdom. If we read like with Chochmah you should build a house, and then you'll put it together, you'll repair it with Tevunah. So you need these two things. Now what kind of house is he talking about? You call Adam Sark Lakavin Bebinyan Beso. Everybody has to have a kavana in the construction of his house. Shabagash meals who bono mekitzu sabayas k'day sheyelo makom likones b'om b'chutz lifnim who v'chol chafetzav, and he and all his she or that family with all the things that they need to bring them in there, all their valuables. Kamal kain beruchnius, but you have the same thing in ruchnius. Yakti sakom b'chutz lifnim. Now, how do you do that? So he says, how do you bring everything on the outside? That is, all the difficulties. It is really what he's talking about. The difficulties of your life, that making it bar, the obstacles that are making it hard for you to go forward. So this is a real trick. In order to be able to bring them into benimius, which is the chokhmah. What is the chokhmah? The chokhmah is the mind. Chokhmah is the seichel sheyesh b'chol davar. So if you could penetrate the situation in which you're in, and find some tachbula by which you could penetrate the situations, then you could find your way to the mind that's behind everything. So this guard, so guards his lawn, he fortifies himself. So therefore he's called the person who's taken upon himself to guard something. What are we guarding here? Nikra balabayis. Ki zeh ikur bechidus shmir sheshomer hadavar bekocha b'midichazeku shboim b'chutz. Behind the mimaziki al b'chashenikroim chitzonim. Ki ikur achizasim b'chutz b'bechidus chitzonius. So the ikur main places that they grab a hold of is always on the outside. B'bechidus chitzonius. B'zecha v'shomer tzark l'shmor hadavar. So he has to keep to guard this. L'shmor hadavar mehem, from them, to keep guard them from him. V'l'kshor v'l'aloso elapenimios, and to find a way to bind those things together and elevate them into the penimius, which is the seichel that's behind whatever's happening, which is the concept, bring it into the house, so to speak, in the place where I guess the chayfetz is, which the main chayfetz is the Torah, which is inside of the house. So therefore, the shomer is also called a household. He's guarding the house, or he's building a house. Because this is not an easy thing. Because this is the real reason why we're here in this world. He said, that's how you do this. So specifically, he says, your physical things that are important to you, the person's money, because those things are things that you actually need, he says, for a chitzonius. So what does it mean? That the person should become a philanthropist, to start giving tzedakah to the proper things, taking your money and be able to do that, making your house a place for learning. Okay, the Shemirah kosher ma'od, so therefore, the Shemirah is very difficult. Because the thing is that the achizasim, where they hold on, is the things that are really important to a person, like his money. So particularly like this, you take something that needs to be guarded. That's where we think that's something important, like you don't leave your money out in the street. So how you use your money, perhaps, this is where you're going to find the damage, the danger. Okay, so therefore, for the person who's watching, and he says it's a balabayas. He says that very important that he that he's really guarding this most important part, which is what? It's the part called penimius. You should tie what's outside and bring it in. The only way you can bring this in is like somebody used a metaphor when I was a fundraiser, and Kenny Spetner actually said this. He said that the Torah is like a rock you throw into a still pond. So you throw that pond in, and that rock is the Torah. So the Torah is at the center of all the ripples of the pond, It's the center of everything, and that's the kind of little bit what he's saying here. Shekasha ha'chefetz b'pechutz, and bring it in. Shezecha bechinas bal habayis. Now that's the idea of a householder. Okay, hetilu ratorah v'lo shavua b'nikitas ha'chefetz. So when you make it, you have to hold on to the chefetz. What is the chefetz? Shuhu haTorah. So in other words, in order to be able to do this, you have to hold tight to the Torah, because that is the rock in the middle that pulls everything towards it. So this is what's called the balabayas. Is a v'nikra balabayas el elokem balabayas daika. He calls it a balabayas ki kriva zu the shvua, because bringing this near for an oath, for a shvua. Kamosha darsha rabbasein v'zal. So therefore he's calling it here by the name of Balabayas. Balabayas is when you become a Balabayas. Balabayas means that you bring everything from the outside. To take your life, the physical aspects of your life and the different circumstances that are coming at you all the time. Lifnim shezechu kosher ma'od, is very difficult to guard against all of those things and to bring those things into the Torah. Okay, and ain anim ma'aminim lo, so therefore we don't believe it. Ki im ha'yedecha shavua, only when he takes a shavua. What does a shavua do? It binds him to the chefetz, which is the Torah. V'zecha v'nikra balabayas el Elokem, so he's called El Elokem, he's called that name. He said, call El Elokem, you have to bring the whole thing, the Balabayas, to the Elokem. The Shomer has to bring the Elokem, Shehu Yizbarach, which is Hashem Yizbarach, Bori HaKol, B'chach Masu, V'hu Shor Shakol Kanal. Okay, that's that one. That's that. Look at that. Think about this.